I have to think of the order that I talk about things because it's important for me that we share something here. And I'm very careful of, as you well know, ideologies and getting you to believe yet something else. And because of all the other stuff that's out there, online, live, in books, and so forth, that wants you to believe in so many different things. So I have to think about how I can talk about these things, in which order, so that when I get to a particular area, that you don't just have to accept what I'm saying and write it down and memorize it, but that it fits in, that it makes sense, that in fact there is a resemblance. And we're going to talk about this word resemblance tonight, or today for you. When I was first in India, my first guru, Puri Ji Maharaj, told me some very shocking things that took me many, many years to corroborate. He told me that there was a Rishi in ancient India by the name of Garg, Rishi Garg. And among other things, Rishi Garg was one of the great astronomers. He lived many years before many centuries before the advent of the Western calendar. He calculated the distances between Earth and the Moon and Earth and the Sun. And in fact, it wasn't until the 1930s, I believe, that modern scientists corrected his calculations by a very, very small degree, I think much less than 1%. He calculated many years BC that the distance between the Earth and the Moon was 108 moon diameters, or maybe it's Earth diameters. One of the two. That it's not important, the absolute details. It's the concept I want to get across. And the distance between the Earth and the Sun was 108 sun diameters. Now it turns out, in the case of the distance between the Earth and the Sun, I believe it's something like 107.5 that was only determined in the last century. I wanted to know how he could find these things out. How could he make these calculations? How could he know these things? He didn't use a telescope. He didn't use any of the tools of the modern astronomer. How could he know these things? How could he make these calculations that turn out to be almost exactly precise as measured by modern scientists? Now the other thing about this is the number 108. Now isn't it a bit surprising that this number 108, which is the number of what is considered auspiciousness in India, often in front of a holy person's name. If somebody is a great mahant or a great spiritual leader, they're called 108 and then the name. And if they're really great, they'll be called even 1008. Shri, 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 etc. This number 108. Now, if you would read about this number 108 in books, they would tell you that the number 108 is the mark of auspiciousness, and they'll give a number of very excellent reasons, such as there are 12 houses in the zodiac. There's 9 planets. 9 times 12 is 108. So why is it that you add this 108 before the name of a great person? And the real reason is because it's like a great person is like a fire. You can't get too close or you get burned. So you distance yourself with a number of distance, and that number of distance is 108. So in this case, more than signifying that this is an important spiritual or religious leader, this number 108 is marking distance. And we see how it certainly marks the distances between the earth and the moon, and the earth and the sun. So, in fact, this number 108 was probably coming from distance itself and arriving at numerical measurement rather than the other way around. Which leads me to the general answer to how Rishi Garg was able to determine these distances and many other distances and many other astounding things that he composed in his texts thousands of years ago. He was not using a post-Enlightenment scientific method. He was using something else. And that something else is correspondences. Things connect with each other in other than mechanical ways. So when most people talk about mantra or some sort of special or sacred speech, they want to explain this in a way, again, going back to this metaphor of the machine, that things touch each other and change or move each other into a sequence, and something results from that. So that there is this almost physical connection, in fact, not almost, a very definite physical connection between all the things in the chain. And we're going to see that that certainly is one level of resemblance, which we'll call convenience, proximity. Things may resemble each other because they're next to them. And something is next to that thing, and something else is next to that thing. And finally, what you have is you have a chain of the world, that everything in the world is next to something else.